All right. Welcome everybody. Just want to make sure you guys can hear me. Just put in the chat if you can hear me, please. Just make sure, just put something in the chat. Let me know you can hear me. Yep. Okay. Perfect. All right. I just want to make sure everybody's on because we have some important information we want to give out. Dave, can you let us know how many people is on right now?
It's currently 11, but we have a bunch of people that's still out on the road right now. So these are recorded, so we can send it out once we're done as well. But right now it's currently 11.
11. Okay. So we should put something out if they can at least get on speakerphone and just play it on the speakerphone.
Okay.
Yeah, at least put something like that out. And then just put a reminder out saying that for those to hop on. Okay. So we'll get started. My name is Joko. If I haven't met some of you guys, I think I met everybody. You came through orientation, I met you. So we want to respect your time. We started about 15 minutes late. We had some technical difficulties, but we're back. So we're having a town hall to discuss some items. This is some very important items that everybody wants to pay attention to because it's going to affect you if you don't know what's going on, right? So I'll start off, and then I'll pass it to Dave, and then he'll touch on it, and then he'll pass it on to the next person, and we'll cover some things. If you have any questions, you can write it down or put it in the chat, and then we will address it because we will be saying a lot of things, and we want to make sure that we can get through our list here. But any questions, any concerns, any feedback, please put in the chat. And then at the end of everything, when we lay everything out, then we'll go and address the questions. But again, appreciate your time. We'll get started. So again, anything you may not remember, just put it in the chat. Okay. So give you a update. So we're in October. Today's October 2nd. We're going into Prime. So, and peak as well. The last 3 months, this is the last quarter of the year. October started the last quarter, Q4. In the Amazon world and the logistics world, Q4 that's where Amazon makes most of the money, right? Matter of fact, just in shipping and as a whole, this is peak season for everybody: Target, Walmart, everybody. So, you could just imagine. So next week, starting October 6th. It's really October 8th and 9th. Even if you go on Amazon right now, Amazon.com, they're advertising for Prime Week. So it's all hands on deck. We want to make sure. I'm going to put out a notice as well. Nobody should be calling out next week. I'm going to put this out because we need all hands on deck. If you call out, we're going to take you off the schedule for 2 weeks. We do this every year. Why? Because we need everybody on deck. It's high volume, and we cannot be put in a position where we're having to scramble to get people to cover the shifts when everybody knows what shift they're supposed to be on. So again, from October 6th, I'm going to put the message out on Sling. But from October 6th to October 12th, there's no call out week. You cannot call out. You call out, we're just going to remove you off the schedule for 2 weeks automatically. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the reason. For whatever reason, just know you're going to be off the schedule. Now, any prior arrangements you made and you put it in, then we'll honor it, no problem. But if you put anything in, you call out, last minute call out, it's going to be just a heavy penalty because we need all hands on deck. Okay, that's with that. Also, we have meetings with our liaison. We have a representative that we talk to, like a business coach and a liaison with Amazon. We touch base with them every week. Myself, Dave, Leon, and Javier. It's like a scorecard to give a performance record on what you're doing, and it's no emotions. It's a straight data conversation to see where you're at. They don't care how long you've been in the program. All they care about is, can you perform and can you continue performing? And as a team, just to be honest with you, again, this is just facts and data, and this is what we're stating. As a team, we are the we have a habit of picking up one thing, dropping another, picking up this, dropping one another. We're good on time, but then we drop on people not showing up to work or people not getting to their first stop on time. So the way they described us is we are a roller coaster in decline. That was the verbiage. So understand that this cannot continue. And as a team, you know, we have to correct this. If you're doing what you have to do and you know what you're doing, you know you are contributing in a positive way, then no problem. I'm not talking to you. Just continue doing what you're doing. But if you're someone that I'm going to hit a couple things and you are someone that is falling in this category, just understand there's no warning, right? We're going to have a conversation and we have to, there's 6 AFPs here. Amazon Freight Partners. If what we're doing doesn't make sense for you and you cannot get on board and it's messing with our numbers and messing up the team, people that are doing well, and you're putting us at jeopardy and at risk, and you cannot, and Javier has to talk to you and Dave and the coaches, and we have to keep coaching you. We're not going to keep coaching. We're just going to part ways. There's other companies. You can just work with other companies, just to be frank. Again, if you can fix it, great. Fix it. We move forward. If you cannot fix it, then guess what? You just got to find another company to work with, because that's the mode that we're taking. I'm being just being completely honest with you. Okay. So here's a couple things. HOS, hours of service. People are not taking their 30-minute break. I wrote some things down so I could stay on task and then be able to pass it off. So we started 7:15. It's about 7:21 right now. I should be done talking, me specifically, probably about 6-7 minutes, and I'm gonna pass it off. So 7:21 right now, I'm gonna hit these points. My goal is to be done by 7:27, me specifically talking. Okay, HOS, people are not taking their 30-minute breaks. Very simple, you gotta take your 30-minute breaks. No matter the reason, you must take your 30-minute breaks. DOT pulls you over, you get fined. That's not on us, that's on you as a driver. But it hits us as a company with points, but you get dinged, you get a lot of fines for that. People are violating HOS hours and going into violations. This is a fresh meeting we had today. We saw a list. There's a lot of people that are not doing their 30-minute breaks. You must do your 30-minute break no matter what. There's no compromise. There's no reason why you shouldn't. Even we have dispatchers reminding people to take their 30-minute breaks. Everybody has went to school. Everybody is a professional here. You must take your 30-minute break. We're not telling you this because we want to, just for whatever reason you're thinking. The fact is, we're telling you this because it must be done as part of HOS. So, and there's violations that's happening. And as a whole HOS, we are missing the mark as a team. So if you are doing what you have to do, great. If not, you have to get it together because people are going over the HOS hours as well. They're going over. And so not only they're not doing it 30 minutes, they're going over. So it's very clear. You have it on the work phone for you to check your hours. You got to check your hours. You're the driver. You're the professional. Do not depend on anyone else to remind you, right? So we can as dispatchers, but you have to get that together. On-time dispatch. 40% of on-time. One second. Okay, 40% of. So there's a weighted average that we get graded on. I'm speaking only data right now. There's a weighted average. 1 second. Dave, how many people are on right now?
It was 17. Oh, sorry, it was 20, but it just dropped to 17.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. No problem. So we put out the message. Okay. On time. We get it's two weighted averages we get. It's 40% weighted average, 60% weighted average. For example, 100% is the scale. 40% is on time, 60% is acceptance. Those are the two biggest things that weighs the heaviest on our score. All right. And on time, I'll speak on that as well. But let me talk about acceptance, because acceptance is about 60% of the actual grade. So within the last 26 weeks, it's 52 weeks in a year. So within the last 26 weeks, so let's just say half the year, within the last 26 weeks, we are at the 16th percentile. 16th percentile. What does that mean? That means 84% of AFPs in the nation, not just in BWI, in the country under this program, 84% of AFPs in the nation are doing better than us. So here's a clean example. If there's 100 AFPs, 84 of them are doing better than us, and we're at the bottom 16. We cannot do that. So and we're not going to allow Amazon to come into our business and try to tell us how to conduct our business. So that's why we're having this meeting, because this needs to get corrected. So only time Amazon gets involved is when we're not doing as what we have to do as a team. So I'm being clear. I'm stating numbers. If you have 100 AFPs in a program, 84% of 84 of them are doing better than us. We're at the bottom 16 when it comes to acceptance. What do I mean by acceptance? You know when you're supposed to be at work and you're not showing up to work. Very simple. Very, very simple. We're supposed to get to work. You're not showing up to work. So those things, you're not showing up. You're calling out, and you're affecting our numbers. We'll have a conversation at that point. The best advice is maybe go to another company. I'm just being honest with you. So there's no more having conversations, no more coaching. We have coaches. We did that already, but this is bare basic foundations, fundamentals when it comes to trucking 101, right? We're not saying nothing new. So that is acceptance. Simple, showing up to work, showing up to schedule. That's what it is. That's the 60%. The other 40% is on time. So last week, I put these notes down. So I wrote it down because we had a meeting earlier today. Last week, there were a lot of people getting to work late. So the number, we're at 50%, meaning half of the AFPs are doing better than us. Again, if there's 100 AFPs, 50 of them are doing better, and we're at the 50 percentile. Just to let you know, the goal is we want to be at the 90 percentile and above. So we want, if there's 100, we want to be the top 10%. We want to be at the 90% is not doing, we're doing better than 90% of the company, so that's what we want to be at the 90 percentile. We want to be top 10, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's what we want to be. In order to do that, we have to make sure that we're hitting these numbers. So we found out today with on time that a lot of people are getting to their first stop late, even when dispatch is calling you an hour before your shift. Even if it's annoying, regardless if it's annoying, that's what it is. Because you know why? People are not getting to work, just to be honest with you. Now, if you're getting to work, no problem, I'm not talking to you. But we have to set the standard as a company, because guess what? We get graded on this. So we had the meeting. They said, hey, a lot of your team is not getting to their first stop on time. So when Javier tries to dispute a legitimate dispute, whether it's traffic, accidents, or whatever, he's going to lose that every time. Why? Because you're late to your first stop. So you have to take ownership. You have to take accountability on this. If we find, and we have metrics, numbers, we're going to show you. If we find that you're hurting our score when it comes to on time, which is 40% of the weighted average, or 60% of the acceptance is 727. I said I was going to stop at 727, but I got a few more points. So 3 more minutes, 730, and I'll be done. So 60% showing up to work, 40% on time. So like I told you, we're at the bottom 16. We're at the bottom 16, meaning 84% above us. And then we're at 50%, meaning half of the companies in the nation are doing better than us when it comes to on time. Overall operational, where 75% of the partners have higher operational scores. That means if there's 100 companies, 75 companies have higher operational scores than us. Understand this. Why would Amazon want to do business with a partner that's at the bottom 16, bottom 25, 50%? At that point, those are not conversations, because guess what? There's a line of people that want this contract. Just be honest with you. No emotions. This is straight data. And this is going to be the tone. And if this is something you cannot get on board with, we respect you. But at the end of the day, we have to cut ties, because this is a business. Understand? I was going to be very clear. Okay, dispatchers, they're calling 1 hour before, like I mentioned. People getting to origin late, first stop, we cannot dispute. We talked about that. Okay, last point. I am getting notice that dispatchers, I want to be clear, they are Joseph employees. They're Joseph employees. Understand that. They are Joseph employees. They are support for the drivers. I'm hearing that people are talking to them crazy, very disrespectful. If you come into our office, you've been on orientation, we got pillars: communication, respect. Respect. That's the main pillar, respect. Communication, teamwork, and embracing change. But respect, you could be a great driver. You could be communicating well. You could be somebody that's great. But guess what? Once you cross the line of respect, at that point, it doesn't matter. All those things, they fall to the wayside. So again, nobody wants to be in a toxic work environment. I don't know if you guys ever been in a toxic work environment. 30 seconds, I'm done. I'm passing it to Dave. A lot of times people cannot come back from that. They deal with trauma. They deal with mental health. We're not therapists, so we don't even want to deal with that. But again, we have to create a healthy work environment. right? And a lot of times, if we're not disrespecting you and we're telling you data, maybe data you don't want to hear, even it's always going to come through the conduit of respect. It's going to come on the lane of respect. We're not going to disrespect you. And nobody should be disrespecting the dispatchers, regardless of how you feel, of if you can't understand them, whatever it is. A lot of, just work through it. But you should never cross the line of respect. At that point, then we're not talking business. At that point, this is something else, and then we have to make a decision of this. If we're gonna continue to be partners and do business, if you're gonna be under the Joseph umbrella, just to be honest with you, right? So I got here. These dispatchers do not work for you. Understand, they don't work for you. You're not paying them. So understand, they are here to support you. They are here. A lot of companies do not invest into dispatchers. Why? Because it's a cost that Amazon is not willing to pay. So they stick to the ROC and deal with that. But we don't want to do that. So we designated a dispatch team strictly for Joseph. But they should not be abused. They should not be disrespected, right? So what do I mean by disrespect? I'm talking about tone, being short with them and just hanging up the phone when they're talking. That is disrespect. They would tolerate it because guess what? They take it as a job. But guess what? We're getting the feedback, and I'm just letting everybody know. You could be a great driver. You can lose your job for bringing the morale and bringing toxicity to the environment, where you're not somebody that is a recipient of change or recipient of taking feedback. Now, again, it can all be done in an honorable way where it's respectful, but we cannot come back from disrespect. I'm just being honest with you. So we will part ways, even if you have perfect numbers or you've been here for a long time. We do not tolerate a toxic environment, and there's zero tolerance for it, right? So I went a little bit over. I'm going to pass it to Dave, but I want to be clear. Nobody's going to disrespect you. But at the end of the day, nobody deserves to be receiving disrespect, regardless of frustration, right? So my tone is this way because I want to be very clear and very serious. You can lose your job for being disrespectful. I'm just being honest with you. Some people, well, what do you mean that? That's so arbitrary. I'm letting you know what disrespect is. Hanging up the phone on somebody, talking over them, yelling at them as if they work for you. Even if people that work, I don't even like to say people work for me, they work with me, right? I'm even conscious of that because I'm mindful of how that even comes off, right? So I tell you, work with me. We work together. But guess what? If we cannot work together, then we have to sever the relationship, cut ties, because it's not beneficial to both of us. And we're in business. So I want to be clear on that. The dispatchers, their employees, their support for the drivers, 100%. Please, any issues, just escalate it to Javier, escalate it to David. But there's no room for disrespect. So I want to be clear. We are at the bottom on operational excellence. 75% of companies are above us. On time and acceptance, we have to get it together. We have to get to our first stop on time. And HOS, you got to take your 30-minute breaks. And also people are going over on HOS. If you have any issues, please reach out. But we have data, and we will be reaching out to you guys and showing you data. And we would expect immediate improvement. If not, we will have to part ways. There are other companies out there. There are other companies, no problem. But we will have to part ways. We don't want to. That's why we're having this town hall meeting. But I respect you guys. Thank you for listening. And I'm going to pass it over to Dave.
All right, cool. Thank you, Joe. So I'm Dave, Director of Operations. If I haven't met you, I'm pretty sure I've met everyone at this point. So just to touch on something that Jogo brought up with the being on time to your first stop. Everyone's first stop is always going to be BWI 41, meaning that is our offsite. So you have to make sure that you check in and check out from our off, where the trucks are parked on time. What happens is like Joko was just explaining, if you're late to that, everything else in your trip from that point forward automatically is denied, even if it's a legitimate reason. So even if you do run into traffic, even if there is an issue at your previous stop, if you were late to that check-in to the yard and check out from the yard, automatically, whatever happens from that point forward, in Amazon's eyes, falls as driver. Sorry, someone's calling me. Falls as carrier controllable, which is driver controllable. Meaning that we can't dispute it and actually speak on behalf of you. So we got to make sure the yard specifically, really you should be on time for all your stops, but things happen. But the yard, 100%, you guys got to make sure that you check in and check out on time. Another topic that we're going to go over is Netrodyne. We've seen a huge increase across the board of Netrodyne events. which then also leads to a lot of people are losing days. Just these past 2 weeks, I mean, it's been an astronomical number. So we wanted to pull everyone together to just kind of go through Netrodyne, which Javier will kind of go through the more intricate details of it. But we wanted to pull everyone together just to express the expectation of Netrodyne, also what is measuring, some tips to not get any events, but overall, what we can't do is continue the path that we're on. Like I said, right now we're having astronomical numbers of Netrodyne events all the way around. Leon's going to talk about some fleet things as well, but for the time being, I'm going to pass it off to Javier. As Javier is going through his explanation of Netrodyne, if you have questions, like Joko said earlier, please put it in the chat, and then we will go back to it at the end. Okay, so Javier, I'm bringing you up now.
All right. Hey guys, so I'm just gonna kind of summarize Netrodyne best way as I can to make sure everyone understands exactly how it works and how each event can affect your score. So first off, I'm gonna just start off by listing the 9 things that have an impact on your score. And these are 9. Oh, sorry about that. Okay. The 9 things that can have a negative impact on your score. Of course, there are driver stars, the positive events that can boost your score. These are 9 things that can negatively affect it. So I'm list them all and then kind of explain some of them. So traffic light violation has, and this is I'm reading it directly from Netrodyne's website. So traffic light violation has a high score reduction. Sign violation has medium score reduction. U-turns have a low score reduction. Hard turns and hard braking both have medium score reduction. Hard acceleration is low. Last 3 years, driver distraction and following distance both have high score reductions. And speeding violations have a medium score reduction. So those are the 9 things that can affect your score. Most of those things are self-explanatory. Driver distraction, being on your phone, following distance, we talked about. Speeding, plain and simple. Hard turns, hard braking, hard acceleration, self-explanatory. I know there's been some questions about traffic light violations and U-turns. So I'll start off with traffic light violations. I've seen some people getting events when they're coming through an intersection and they're crossing it at yellow, and it may turn red while you're in the intersection. Now, even though, yes, that may have been okay before, with Smart Drive, we're working with a different system now. And we do have to try our best to adapt to the systems that Amazon is using. Now, there are some events that we can dispute, that we are going to be escalating to Amazon to see what we can do, just like U-turns. So before I get to U-turns, traffic light violations, the best practice for traffic lights is just to slow down at every traffic light. As soon as you see that you're pulling up at a traffic light, whether it's green, yellow, red, whatever it is, start slowing down. That way, if it's green and it turns yellow or red, you already started slowing down, so you have enough time to make a safe stop. You won't get hit with traffic light violation or hard braking if you do that. So that's just one way that's one practice you can put in place to avoid those things. U-turns, yes, U-turns, you guys make U-turns every day. U-turn. So this is one thing that we're talking with Amazon about to see exactly how they want us to work with this, and exactly what U-turns it's tagging. Because even if, say, you could avoid U-turns on all roads, there are the yards, the Amazon yards. And sometimes you have no choice but to make a U-turn in the yard. You may go down a yard, dead end, no parking spaces, whatever, no space, you have to make a U-turn. We understand that. So we're looking through all of those events and working with Amazon just to get clarity on those events. And then once we have a clear update, we'll let everyone know, how that turns out. But yeah, we'll let you guys know update on that. But the rest of this is, like I said, self-explanatory. Traffic light, just slow down. Sign violation, signs, stop signs, things like that. Now, just to go over a quick summary of overall scores, 1,000 is a perfect score. You start off every day with 1,000. You have a daily score, a weekly score, and a monthly score. In order to have a score for the day, you have to drive or record 30 minutes of driving, which of course you're driving 30 minutes in a day. So you have a daily score. For the week, you have to drive a minimum of 2 days with those 30 minutes. For the month, I don't believe there's a threshold for the month, but either way, daily, weekly, and monthly. You start off every day with 1,000, and then if you get any events, it just chips away from there. Now, the update that we're actually making for the Netrodyne scale. Now, before it was posted that it was based off the daily scores. If you fall under 900, you lose a day. Under, I believe, 850, 2 days. Anything under 800 or in the 700s, you'd lose a week. And that was based off of daily. Now we've looked through the data, met with Amazon. Amazon looks at our data weekly. They don't look at every single day. And our goal as a company is to move like Amazon. So instead of that scale going by the day, we're going to do it by the week. So the same scale applies in terms of the amount of points, but instead of doing it by the day, we're just going to do it by your weekly score. So again, 1,000 perfect score. You just don't want to fall anywhere under 900. Other than that, the positive events, I'll touch on that really quick. There's only one that I've noticed people getting, and that's created separation. That's what they call it in Netrodyne. It's when car comes into your lane or cuts you off. If it recognizes that you made the effort to slow down and recreate the space, it'll give you a positive event that can boost your score back up. The other ones that we have here, only other one that I see here is moved over for vehicle on the shoulder. So if you see a truck pulled over, a car, whatever, if you're able to move over and make space, it'll give you a positive event for that. It recognizes a lot. This system is AI based, so it recognizes a lot. It'll measure the following distance of the cars, even not in your lane. It'll measure all that. Other things that it'll track, that even though it may not have an impact on your score in Netrodyne, will still have a big impact for you as a driver and being safe. One thing I'll touch on is driver drowsiness. So the system will pick up more often if someone is driving drowsy. So just to touch on that, that's kind of the last thing here, but if you are feeling tired, call dispatch. Don't try and push yourself. No matter how much you feel like I can get through it, I can make it to the next stop, I only have 10 minutes to get to the stop. Call dispatch, let us know you're tired. There's nothing wrong with finding a safe place to pull over and taking 15, 30-minute nap and to then continue. That is much safer than trying to push yourself and possibly getting into an accident. We've seen plenty of examples of this, of driver drowsiness, and it's always when you start feeling tired and you try and push yourself to make it that last 10 minutes. And this is a fireable offense, driver drowsiness. So if you're doing that, you'll definitely get a call from one of us in leadership to talk about it, and because it's very serious. Amazon takes it very serious, especially if they bring it to our attention. If the Amazon catches it themselves and they see one of our drivers drowsy driving, that's even a bigger red flag. We want everybody to make it home safe. That's the main thing. And then of course it affects metrics and the company and all that. But at the end of the day, we want everyone to be able to just make it home safe. That's all. I think that's all really I had. Netrodyne. Hopefully I explained everything clearly. Again, if you have any questions, put it in the chat. We'll answer it at the end, and then I'll pass it off to Dave.
All right. So just real quick, just wanted to touch base on a couple of things Javier said. So for traffic lights in particular, if you're approaching an intersection like Javier said, just kind of start naturally slowing down, but stale yellows specifically. If you didn't see that light turn yellow, you should already start planning to stop. Right? What we don't want, because there are some events where you have more than enough distance to stop, and people are literally just going straight through. That's something that we cannot keep doing, because at that point, that's just blatantly running a red light. But the stale yellows, if you didn't see that light turn green, really stale greens and stale yellows, if you didn't see the light turn green, you should be slowing down just to ensure that you can stop in case it turns yellow. Same thing, if you didn't see the light turn yellow and it's yellow, you should be stopping anyway to just ensure again that you can stop before going through the intersection. The other thing, for speeding specifically, we're seeing it's a mass, it's a wide range. It has an overall medium impact, I think is what you said. But if you're going over the speed limit, I think it's like over 7 miles, then it turns into a high. So best practice, if the speed limit is 55, go 55. If the speed limit says 30, go 30. Like, there is no buffer. So I know Smart Drive may have been a little bit different, but again, as Javier said, one of our core values is to embrace change. So at this point, all the trucks are outfitted with Netrodyne, so we just have to embrace the change of a new system. So with that being said, whatever the speed limit says, that is the speed, that is the expectation everyone should be going. Anything over the speed, whether it's 1 mile, 2 miles, 3 miles, you can get a speeding violation for that. It is very direct. Like Javier said, this is an AI powered system. So it is strictly looking at the data. If the truck says 36 and the speed limit zone is 35, you're speeding by all technical reasons, right? That is technically speeding, because the speed limit is 35. So just you get in the habit, pay attention to these road signs, especially speed limit signs, and like I said, go the exact speed that you see. I just wanted to add those two things because those were two points that you said, Javier, that I just want to elaborate a little bit more. So, Javier, you got anything else for Netrodyne?
No, just one small note I didn't mention, but I will mention with hard braking specifically. And I'm just reading this straight off the Netrodyne website. So everybody's on the same page with this. It has a medium score reduction, but this is the only type of event that has like a sub note to it. And so the note says the hard braking alert subtype other results in a small increase in green zone score. Other indicates that the hard braking event occurred when another vehicle cut into the driver's lane, i.e. the cause of the hard braking was an external party. So I include that just to point out, like, it is looking at everything. It's looking at all aspects. Based on this, it's even considering if the hard braking was caused, again, by an external party. So just to add this additional note to show like how in-depth the system, looks at everything. But yeah, that's pretty much it from me. I'll pass it off back to Dave.
All right, cool. So Netrodyne, super important. Again, this is just a new system. We have to adapt to it. And if you have questions, like I said, just put them in the chat. And then we're going to go back to all the questions at the end. But now I'll pass it off to Leon to go over some fleet stuff.
Good evening, everybody. Hope everybody can hear me. I believe a lot of people know me. Again, my name is Leon. I'm the fleet manager here at Joseph. So we're going to cover a few things. A lot of it is going to feel really basic for you guys, your professionals, obviously your CDL drivers. But obviously, we wouldn't waste your time. So if we're going over and it feels a bit basic, just some of it's not getting done. And it is affecting operations, which then affects revenue. So, the mindset has to be that we need the trucks. Right? So we only have 24 trucks. And the mindset has to be that we have 24 opportunities to make money. So 24 opportunities to put a driver inside of a truck where they can make money and take care of their family or what have you. But if we have 10 now, we only have 14, right? Et cetera. There's a lot of variables that goes into fleet. But we like to say control the controllables. So we have to control what we can and be diligent on both sides, meaning the leadership team, the dispatchers, et cetera, myself, have been diligent about tightening up the ship, making sure that we report work orders same day in real time to Amerit. Now, we are at the mercy of Amerit and a few other vendors as far as repairs. We do hold them accountable as well. So we have bi-weekly meetings with Amazon. So I just want you guys to know that on this side, we fight for you guys. We see something that we can't control, we hold Amazon accountable, and in turn, they hold us accountable. So everything that we can control, we have to control. So we haven't been able to book load board shifts. If anybody, you know, a lot of the old school people remember when the load board had a lot of shifts available. That is year-round overtime for you guys. But I just want to be clear that without extra trucks, we can't book load board because you need extra trucks to book extra shifts. So that then lowers the opportunity for drivers to make more money. That's year-round overtime. The load board is so. It's just another reason for us to be diligent. So everything we're going to cover tonight has one purpose. I'll be quick, but it has one purpose, which is keeping the trucks on the road. Not to point the finger, but for us to work together to keep the trucks on the road. So we gave the data that you guys gave us in Sling and calling the dispatchers, et cetera, to Amazon, and we were able to get 5 trucks swapped out. So that came from you guys reporting issues, and we then escalated to Amazon. So when you see a new truck number, just know that's us escalating the issues that you guys tell us to Amazon, and then they in turn compensate us. They'll take a problem unit and give us another unit that's hopefully better than the last. So just know that you guys the backbone of actually getting that done, because without the data, we wouldn't be able to do it. A few things we want to cover. Just again, it's going to feel real basic, but pre-trips and post-trips obviously should include pictures of the work phone. Make sure it's the correct work phone. No one should ever be swapping phones or any other equipment out of the trucks. If your truck doesn't have what it needs, please call a dispatcher and then follow their directions. But it has to be done. It's mandatory, guys. So just please make it easy on the team and just post everything, post your phone, et cetera. And then make sure you're taking pictures of, of existing damage. So when people post pictures and they say same as before, just know that if the next person damages the unit, and they don't report it, and we have to research, and you don't have the picture, you just said it was same as before, then we don't have proof to go off of. We only have what you said, and you don't. So take the picture. You have to, run around, look again, just make sure. If you know you didn't hit anything, the least you do is upload the same pictures. Well, actually, I take that back. I don't encourage that. You have to go around, take new pictures, et cetera, if need be, of the same damage. But again, we have to be diligent about posting the pictures of the damage. Any failed items for DVR, that should be a call to the dispatcher. If nobody should just fail something in the DVR and then go into another truck. That should be a call to the dispatcher, and then they'll lead you in the right direction. Some of the carrier controllable issues we have, a big one is airlines and electrical lines. Now, this is excluding intermodal because we're dealing with Amazon saying that it should be one fixed position for the fifth wheel, which we don't agree with. But Amazon is the contractor. Amazon is the customer. Amazon sets the rules, so that's what it is. But dry loads, any damage to an airline electrical line caused by the driver on a dry load or fifth wheel damage, unfortunately, will be result in disciplinary action for the driver because it is driver controllable. Again, you guys are professionals. Everybody's professional and well trained. If anybody thinks they need to be further trained, then reach out to leadership. But other than that, everyone is expected to make sure that the equipment on the unit is proper and that they make sure they're handling the equipment properly, not pulling off with lines still hooked up, et cetera. Because again, that just puts the truck down. And that's another driver that can't pick up a shift or possibly could lose a shift because we don't have a truck. So again, we have to take ourselves out of the equation and let Amazon know that any issues we have are only related to the trucks, not to Joseph Distribution or its drivers, right? So that is the whole purpose of that. Please call the dispatchers during any urgent issue. You guys are pretty good about that, though. But we encourage you to post in Sling. Just remember that you guys post in Sling. It's a lot of information for one person to go through while you guys are calling and they're handling issues on time. So just please be patient with the team. They'll get to you eventually, but if it's urgent, please call. Reporting everything. It does not matter how large or small the incident, please. It doesn't matter if you tap the pole at a site, and you don't think they have cameras and they cause no damage, it does not matter. Because if somebody saw you or think that you hit something that you didn't, and then they report it, and we have nothing to fight for you, then obviously we can't fight for you, right? So you have to call in every instance so that we can record all the data and we'll be able to protect you guys in the instance. So call on every instant, no matter how big or small it is, please call a dispatcher. False reporting. We have drivers, it's obvious. We have drivers who tell us there's issue with trucks until they get to a certain truck, and then we see the pattern. And we also have drivers that tell us there's issues until their tour is almost canceled. That is false reporting, guys. That all it does is just creates an issue. We then have to create work orders, and then a mirror comes back and tells us there's nothing wrong with this truck. So it's not like we enter work orders in, and then they don't come back and tell us that nothing was wrong with the truck. They come back and tell us. So then we research, say, hey, excuse me, well, what do you mean? What, I thought something was wrong with the electrical line or tire, et cetera, et cetera. So, or the AC is not working. So just please, no false reporting. That will be immediate suspension or termination, because that's just causing the company to lose money and other drivers to lose money. And then lastly, the cleanliness. Amazon reached out. We don't want to be the company on their radar. The yard obviously has trash everywhere. That's unacceptable. I've put out messages. Dave put out messages. Joe and Cass put out messages. Everybody has. We're all adults here. We always are expected to respect the workplace and the space and the truck that another driver's about to get into. So please, let's take all of our trash with us. And if you get into a truck that is it has to be extreme. Now, I'm not saying if they leave a cup in there, but if it's extreme, I encourage you to take pictures, post it, and put it in Sling and tag the dispatcher, because nobody should have to work in those conditions. And then other than that, we should all just be adults and be clean and take care of ourselves. But remember, everything tonight is about keeping the trucks on the road so that we can all make money, getting back to the load board so that we can all book extra shifts for you guys so everybody makes a bit more money. So that's all I got. Dave, I'm going to pass it back to you.
All right, cool. So just two things. So first and foremost, and we go over this in orientation, but just as a reminder, we are contracted with Amazon. So every year we have to renew our contract. In order to renew your contract, you have to meet eligibility, right? So everything that we talked about, from on time to acceptance to understanding Metrodyne, even down to like Leon was talking about, keeping trucks on the road, because that just domino effects into us having to reject shifts, etc. All of that is a metric that's tracked by Amazon, which then directly impacts our eligibility to renew the contract, right? So all these talking points, again, as Leon said, these are not just talking points that we just decided on a Wednesday night just to go over. These are all things that can affect, us being able to renew this contract. This is how we all eat. Everybody on this call, everyone that has spoken, this is how everyone eats. So the objective is we want to keep eating, right? So, like I said, all these things we have in place, all the metrics that we talked about, is to, again, continue to keep being able to renew this contract year after year after year. So just take what we're saying, let's say if you have questions, throw them in there. But again, we're having this meeting so everyone has a better understanding, because again, this is how we all eat. So I'm gonna bring everyone up on the call, so we can just kind of talk through if anyone has any questions, comments, concerns. I did see two questions. Everyone's back up, just so everyone knows.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I should, yeah, but everyone's back up.
Yeah, no problem. Before we do the questions, Dave, I wanted to highlight some things on what Leon talked about. False reporting. Again, short term, do not try to play the system. Yeah, I'm not talking to everybody, but whoever I'm talking to, you know who I'm talking. If it applies to you, it's best that you stop, because what's going to happen is it's going to catch up to you. Once it catches up to you, it's going to let you go, and then we're going to report you, and you cannot work for no other AFP in the program, because now you become bad for business, right? And there's only 6 of us here in BWI. Unless you move out of BWI, there's only 6 of us, and we all know what's going on with each other, right? We tell people, like we'll tell each other, hey, don't work with this person because they're bad for business, right? This is how we talk. And they'll let us know. I let them know. So false reporting, saying trucks are, something's wrong with it and nothing's wrong with it. And it goes back to making Leon's job hard. And just because you don't want to work or try to get paid for the whole day and say it's not your fault, right? We catch on to these games because multiple people play the same games, right? So again, if it's not you, I'm not talking to you. For those, understand, we're going to weed you out. We're not trying to coach you. I'm just going to be honest with you. Our goal is to weed you out. Find out who you are and weed you out. That's the goal. That's the directive that we're speaking on. Another thing, popping lines. You know, everybody's professionals. Everybody went to school here. Simple popping lines, not understanding the lag or, you know, having it too tight or so. If you need training, we will train you. You know, if you want to, but don't be the person and not be humble enough to get training, but you keep popping lines. At that point, we're not going to coach you no more. We're just going to, hey, Javier, we need to bring on new people. That's going to be a conversation because you'll be deemed as a person that's bad for business. So again, if you're doing what you have to do, then hats off to you. We'll continue making money because, as Leon said, we're in business to make money. We're not in business to laugh and shake hands. Everybody's here to feed their family. And if we laugh, then that's a derivative. At the end of the day, everybody's here for an objective. So again, false reporting. Thank you for bringing that up, Leon. That's a big issue. We're looking for these things because guess what? You're making not just Leon's job hard and our job hard, but you're making the actual Merit fleet and their jobs hard because now they're attending to vehicles that nothing's wrong with the vehicle, and they could be attending to other vehicles that needs to get on the road. And this is an enterprise. This is not a mom and pop. We're not working from the garage. This is a conglomerate, right? So understand that when you're connected to Amazon, you're connected to a machine, and the machines, their job is to find out what's going on. And it's very hard to get away with certain things in a machine. Maybe mom and pop, you can, but not here. And if you haven't got caught, eventually you will get caught, and then we'll just weed you out the system and blackball you. Just be honest with you, you know? So again, just do things right, and we'll open up for questions. But you got it, Dave.
Okay, so I saw a couple questions already. So are we going back to posting individual on-time numbers? I don't understand the question. Could you elaborate on the question? Well, if anyone understands the question, you guys can.
I think she's talking about the this like the list of everyone's on-time score, which I can answer yes, yeah. We will be posting that.
Okay. Justin, oh, that makes sense now. I'm sorry. Justin had a question. I'm curious as how many points a traffic light or hard braking event actually takes away from the original 1,000 score if that's your only event.
Okay, so this is actually something I've been trying to figure out myself also. I've been curious too, so I'm still trying to figure it out myself. But this is straight from the Netrodyne website. This is all the information that we have for, what was it? Traffic light or hard braking. So traffic light has a high score reduction. That's how Netrodyne puts it, and a hard braking medium score reduction. And that's all it tells us. So unlike Smart Drive, where each event has a certain point or points attached to it, it just tells us Netrodyne score reduction, medium, low, or high. So like I said, we're going to be looking at all this to try and see if maybe we can calculate a number and pinpoint it. But that's how Amazon is giving us the data for Netrodyne right now.
I'm gonna write that down because we might be able to ask that guy Henry.
And
That's a good question. Appreciate it, Fulmore. The last question about posting on time. We was doing that before, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. We're going back. Yeah, we should definitely go back to doing that so we can see that. So let's do that for sure. Great question, Takira. Thank you.
Justin had a follow-up question. Also driving late night, if we get an event and it shows up as a 100 score because the system reset and the score shows up on the day before without counting your entire score. I do believe that the Netrodyne system is based, what is California, Pacific?
Yeah, Pacific time.
Yeah, so I do know the Netrodyne system is based on specific time. or Pacific time. I'm sorry. If something happens at midnight here, then that would only be what 9, 10, 9.
Yeah, 9, I think.
Yeah, 9 p.m. over there. So that might be the issue that you're running into, Justin. But all Netrodyne, even when we're looking at it from the portal side, it all shows 3 hours behind us. So that might be why it looks like that to you.
So I just want to kind of add to that, because I'm just trying to make sure I understand exactly like what he's asking. So what my immediate thought when I saw this question was, you're driving overnight, and for each day to have a daily score, you need to drive at least 30 minutes, right? So if you drive overnight, say start at 9 p.m., you're driving already, you already have a score for that day, the 9 p.m. that you started. Then as you keep driving into the next morning, I think what he's saying is you may have a separate score for that day because you're driving in two separate days. So the way I would look at that, and this is something also that we can ask Amazon too, just to see if they have any clarity on this. But the way I would look at that is, say you work overnight all 3 days. There are drivers that work overnight all 3 days, right? Instead of 3 daily scores for that week, you would have 6. So that number would double. So even if that one day you got an event and it was 800, we're looking at the weekly score. So even if that one out of the 6 is 800, you would still be fine because that would balance out even the next day. Your score would balance out for the week because you have more days to measure that average, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a good point. Just a question. The red tape has definitely helped me. You were telling me. Okay, yeah. So definitely give tips and tricks to each other as well. If you know something that works, especially for the intermodals, which is what you're talking about here, definitely like share that with each other. Best practice is always to talk to your coworkers and give them the best tips while they're out there. Everyone started off new here at some point in time. There's still things that we're learning to this day, right? So yeah, I mean, everyone should always be a student. So yeah, if the red tape works, I would encourage everyone else to use red tape as well.
Shout out to Real for taking care of that for the team.
Good point. You know what? What we should do? I know we got a lot of these rooms, but we should do it like a feedback. Great questions, because that could probably feed. I don't know if we have something like this, but let me know. Like a best practice room or something where
we have a Joseph Tips room. I'm gonna just
perfect.
I'm gonna take everyone on there right now so everyone sees it. But it's called Joseph Tips.
Okay,
we made it forever ago. It's not really.
So what we should do? You should probably put like, hey, Takira, can you post that thing about the lines in there? And then tag Takira, and then you can Takira just put that in there, because I'll tell you right now, as a team, we're struggling with people popping lines. So if that's helped you, and you're talking about he's talking about the lines, right? Electrical lines.
Yep.
Yeah. If that's helping you, please put that in there, because that will help the team out, because that's a call out that we're seeing, and we're getting dinged for that. So Dave, just definitely tag Roberts, and please put that tip in there. And any tips, Fulmore, you've been here for a minute, put some in there. We can help some people out, because we got some vets on the team, some new people. So appreciate it. Great question, great insight, great feedback. Thank you.
Yeah, I just put all that in there so everyone should see it.
Yeah.
Okay. If we slow down when we see the light and it's still not enough time to complete a stop, or it's better to stop in the road or keep going. So if you cross into the intersection, regardless, you got a point, right? So in that sense, it would probably be safer to not stop in the middle of the intersection. So if you're approaching the light, it's green, you hit the intersection, starts turning yellow, at that point, just continue on, because it would be it would be more unsafe to then try to just slam on the brakes and stop in the middle of the road. Again, the thought process is, hey, you come to an intersection, start slowing down just a little bit, just so that way you can have enough time But in the event you still feel like, hey, I'm not going to be able to, as long as the light is, green or just turn yellow, then I can understand that. It's at that point, play it by ear, right? If it's in the middle of rush hour traffic, you might want to just stop the intersection versus trying to just blow straight through it. But that would be kind of more case by case. But I think just if everyone kind of practice just the, slowing down a little bit, like earlier as you come to an intersection, then that should resolve that. I see there's a follow-up question to this, like immediately. Just a heads up, lights change quicker at night, so be mindful of that. Absolutely. So same thing. And you're absolutely correct. Which is like Javier said, we're a lot of this data that we're getting from you guys, it doesn't fall on deaf ears, right? We actually take it back to Amazon. We ask questions. We give them any type of feedback that you all have. So everything that you guys are saying right now, I'll ask this. Gabriel, your question of does the camera count for the no point of return? I generally don't know, because I know as soon as you cross that intersection, it gives you a point. I don't think that it judges by, or I don't think it counts for like no point of return. But at the end of the day, I do know as soon as you cross that intersection, it gives you a point. So like I said, these are all questions that we'll take back just to get some more direct answers on. But just for the time being, if you can, right? Like this is we always want to be as proactive as possible. As you come to an intersection, just start slowing down so that way you can prepare to stop. And I think as of right now, if we just all have that same mindset, then we should see the numbers go down. And then in the meantime, behind the scenes, Javier and myself will try to get that direct answer for you guys.
I can add something real quick to that question.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, the traffic light one, the intersection thing. So first of all, something that I tell everyone that comes through, even at the point of the interview and orientation, yes, Netrodyne is here to measure like safety and make you a safer driver. When you're out on the road, yes, putting these practices like we just talked about, slowing down as soon as you see the light, like that'll help with you being able to make a safer stop and just be able to stop in time so you can avoid those events. And then just to add to like Tahir's question about if you do get to that point of you have to choose between slamming on the brakes and stopping like in the intersection versus going through. Sometimes you just have to make use your discernment. Dave, you kind of already pointed this out, but use your own discernment. Make the safe decision, right? Like there may, it won't happen often, but there maybe every once in a while a point where you have to make a safe decision, and that maybe Netrodyne, like by Netrodyne standards, isn't safe or whatever. But in that moment, say you slamming on the brakes is going to cause the person behind you to rear end you, right? So you have no choice but to keep going. Something like that, yeah, you would keep going because, yeah, with Netrodyne, you may get points for hard braking or going through the intersection, but you making that decision, you may have even avoided an accident. So, like I said, like those situations don't happen often. But I tell everyone, like, just make the safe decision in general, and putting these practices into place will help you with that and being able to avoid these Netrodyne events. Also, just one quick note. So, traffic light violation and hard braking. Traffic light violation hits you with a high score reduction versus hard braking has medium. So if you can make that decision in a safe way, and you're able to brake before the intersection, I would just try to make a safe stop. But again, it can be case by case. So that's all I wanted to add.
Let me ask. Like Smart Drive, the team had access to their scores. For Netrodyne, can they see their scores?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's an app that they actually have, so everyone can go on the app.
Okay, has that been sent to everybody?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Let's make sure. So I'll put a note out there as recap, but you just like, you guys know your smart drive. I think it's good for you to know and not depend on Javier, or Dave. It's mostly gonna be Javier to be reaching out to you about your scores. So you should know it yourself. Also, these tips, please put them in Sling. It's great for drivers to hear from other drivers, especially the senior drivers, right? Like yourself, Justin. Put that information in there because you know how this works. So it's great for them to hear from you, and it could be of value to the team.
All right, we had another question. I saw it up here. Doesn't making the phone call about drowsiness affect on-time scores? Okay, so safety is always number one. Number one priority is always safety. So if it's a question of on time versus being safe, pick being safe. So yes, on time is very important. Joko talked about that. However, when it comes to you driving drowsy, that's more important than anything acceptance or on time, right? Because the risk factor that can happen from drowsy driving, I promise you, it will be a greater hit than any on time dispute we have to put in. Okay, so if it's a question of safety versus on time, everybody 100% of the time pick safety. Never pick on time and jeopardize safety in the meantime, because that will actually be worse for everybody rather than us being late. Of course, we essentially want to be safe and on time, but to this question, if you are drowsy, that takes precedence over everything. At that point, on time is irrelevant. We want you to be safe. All right. Do I see other questions here? Let's see. Just ask question. Okay, they're talking. Okay, can y'all give me more tips on the 5-second rule and have heavy traffic? Javier, I'll let you take that one.
5 second. I don't know what you mean by the 5-second following distance. So if you're in heavy traffic, like we're talking like you're going 2-3 mile an hour, 5 maybe. It does still kind of apply, but either way, if you're in that heavy traffic, you're gonna be semi close to the car in front of you anyway. Leave as much space as you can. But I'll put it this way, even with Smart Drive and Netrodyne so far, I haven't seen anybody get an unsafe following event just for sitting in traffic. It's always like moving traffic, and the driver isn't making an effort to create the space from in front of them. But I don't think I've ever seen anybody get an event following event for sitting in heavy traffic.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Dave. I'll go after you.
I got most of the camera systems, like all of the ones that we've ever used, Smart Drive, it all goes from, I believe it's like 20 miles an hour up. So if you're going 20 and higher, that's when it starts counting following distance, because anything under that, typically you're in traffic or bumper to bumper, whatever the case may be. So if you're in heavy traffic, still the mindset's still the same. You don't want to be right up on their bumper to where if you're in a truck, you can't even see in their back windshield. That's just way too close in general. But it doesn't also measure following distance, because at that point you're not even going a speed in which it would even count against you.
Yeah. What I wanted to add, good points. What I want to add is, you guys get paid per hour. We're not on a cents per mile model. So I say that to say, no matter what, if someone's in traffic or you're on a regular road or you're just going just normal, normal speed, always leave a good, healthy distance in front of you. Who cares if the person behind you is upset, right? Because Amazon, all of the behind on the trucks always says, like, you could tell it's an Amazon vehicle, right? Unless you're carrying something that's like not branded, but just leave that distance, right? And I say that to say, the reason why I'm saying you guys are not on cents per mile and you're on per hour, you can do it. Most of you guys work 3 days. You can do this in 12 to 14 hours. If you already know you have in your mind, hey, I'm going to be out here 12, 13, 14 hours, and you're going to get your 40 hours, between 30 to 42 hours in a week, Like nobody should be getting. I doubt. Like, I looked at your numbers, Fulmore. And I'm just using him as an example because I know he's been here for a minute. He's been here for the longest. He has more opportunity to get more violations because he's been on the wrong longer than a lot of people, right? So, but he rarely gets any, right? Am I right, Javier?
No, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, Justin rarely gets any. And I'm just saying his name because I saw his name. But the point I'm trying to make is there's people that's been here from the beginning. That's the OGs that have been up with us since the company started. And, change or no change, they have good driving habits. So it doesn't matter what change happens. I tell people in orientation, a lot of people are great drivers, but they have bad driving habits. So they come into the Amazon world and they struggle because Amazon, they know trucking, but guess what? Amazon knows safety. Right? So, and Amazon has the data to uphold that safety. So I notice a lot of people struggle because we talk safety a lot. We're not necessarily talking trucking. We're talking trucking, but best believe if you want to look at a scale, we're probably talking 70% safety and 80, maybe really 80% safety, 20% trucking, right? But in trucking, you need to be safe. So again, you work 12 to 14 hours. There's no need to rush. Not to say be late, but don't rush because you can get it done in time. And there's people doing it, right? So, like I said, you got to break those habits, or you're going to struggle as a driver in your career. Period. And also the ARC claims. I want to mention claims. Maybe Dave, you could talk on that. We've been seeing an uptick in claims. People are getting they're hitting things and expecting nothing to happen. Understand, claims mess up the premium for insurance. If it gets to a point where we keep seeing your name and you're hitting things. The directive is we need to part ways because you're a liability now. Again, you could be a great driver, but how can you be a great driver? You're hitting things. So in this business, insurance is one of the biggest expense after payroll. Insurance is right next, number 2. So if you are somebody that's a carrier controllable and you're hitting things, immovable objects, hitting poles, hitting parked cars, hitting stationary items, whatever, just understand we're going to do some research and find out if you're a liability, then guess what? We got to part ways. So I'm just saying that I'm not trying to instill fear. I'm just saying I'm trying to instill safe driving habits. But Dave, you could talk on that because there's been an uptick in these claims.
Yeah. So there, if anyone came to orientation recently, you've heard me say this, but the way that insurance looks at it is 3 things. It's at fault, preventable, and non-preventable. That's it, right? So those are the 3, statuses that an insurance claim could be. At fault and preventable are basically one and the same. The only difference is who has to front the cost of the liability. That's the only difference between at fault and preventable. So with that, take your time. If you're at a yard that's way too small, report it. Hey, this yard is way too small. We'll escalate the ROC. Do what we got to do. If you're unsure of a tight spot. If you have to stop and get out and walk around the truck multiple times, then do so. One thing that my grandfather taught me when he was teaching me how to drive was nobody can move the vehicle but you, right? So meaning if you're the person backing the truck up, you got to keep getting out just to make sure that everything's okay. Nobody else can jump in that driver's seat and move that truck. So if someone has to wait, they got to wait. That's what it is, right? You're the only person to control that truck. So if you need to take extra time to walk around or you needed to, get out, back up a little bit, get out, check, move up, whatever you got to do. What we can't do is continue to, like Joko said, hit things. Another thing, poles in particular. If you know that your dock is right next to where, and most of the warehouses, they have the door that, where the stairs lead up. What are those poles called? The pylon poles, I guess what they're called. The yellow poles, them things. There you go. If your dock is directly next to that, I would encourage everyone to, again, stop, park, get out, look around, right? Because one of the most common things that we are hitting as a company are those poles. Those yellow poles and Joseph Distribution do not get along. So again, we cannot continue that. Because in all reality, like Joko said, insurance is, outside of payroll, the biggest expense, right? But then from the insurance provider standpoint, they can deem you what's the word I'm looking for? Ineligible, right? So they can say, hey, this driver has way too many claims. We're not insuring them anymore. And then at that point, we have no choice but to part ways, right? Amazon can even step in and say, hey, this driver's hitting too many things. They're ineligible to pull loads for Amazon. Well, what we're trying to do, like Joko said in the very beginning, we don't want Amazon entering Joseph distribution and telling us how to move, right? So we're trying to get ahead of that. So if we see a trend, then it is what it is, because we have to get ahead of that before Amazon or even the insurance reaches out to say, hey, this person, they're just not safe. We can't insure them, or they can't pull loads for us anymore. So again, our whole thing is we want to be proactive behind this. So to not hit anything, get out and check. That is the best tip I can give everyone. If you got to get out 3-4 times, so be it, right? Nobody can make you move that truck any quicker than you move it. So that's all I got.
Good point. Good point. I know it's an hour and 15 minutes. We want to respect everybody's time. Thank you, Javier and Dave, and of course Leon. What? Any more questions, Dave? We got?
Nope. That was it. I guess Cameron. I'm not Cameron. Gabriel said, so use all information available to make the safest decision possible. Yes, 100%. Safety is always going to be number one.
I see one above that. I think it's Takir, follow-up question. Like an intersection, I think about that. So, for this, I would say if you're in a situation like that where even if you slam on the brakes, you're gonna end up in the middle of the intersection, I would just go through the intersection. I mean, you shouldn't be in that that situation often if you're slowing down beforehand to prepare to make a safe stop. But I mean, that's what I was in that specific situation. Yeah, I just avoid being in the middle of the intersection.
I do believe that was the last question. Yes.
That's it. Okay, perfect. So recap, along with what Javier and Dave and Leon talked about the false reporting. Be mindful of that. Keeping the yard clean. Amazon's calling us out for that. So they're kind enough to not charge us to park. We know places where we pay for parking right now currently. So it's free. We don't want to get to a point where we have to pay for parking, right? And that's an extra expense because we're not respecting the parking lot. Keep the trucks clean. We do have people come out and clean it, like Leon mentioned. I know Dave touched on safety and Netrodyne and Javier as well. As I mentioned, I want to highlight this. HOS, we got to work on that as a team. People are not taking their 30 minutes. You have to. And don't depend on, just because dispatch is calling you, please do not depend on them. If I don't get the call, then, they don't work for you. They're helping you. They're support, right? So do your 30 minutes. Watch those HOS hours, please. Another thing, on time and acceptance. If you know you got to get to work, show up to work. You only work 3 days a week. Most people work 3 days a week. You're working 12 to 14 hours. You get your 40 hours in 3 days and you got 4 days to do whatever you have to do. Most jobs work 5 days a week, right? So, I have very low sympathy for somebody that works 3 days a week and still calling out. Makes no sense, right? And you're in a model where you're not on cents per mile. You're on per hour. So, don't mess up this situation for you, because a lot of people I hear horror stories, put it that way. You guys in trucking, you know it yourself. So acceptance, showing up to work, that's 60% of our weighted average, and on time, which is 40%. Showing up to work and being on time to the first stop is the biggest weighted average in Amazon, because Amazon, the biggest thing is on time. They need those packages to get to people doorstep on time. And this is and logistics, what you guys do is a big part of that. And then our operational excellence overall score, we got to improve these numbers. So Javier will be reaching out to the team. Dispatchers, please respect the dispatchers as a whole. Just be mindful how you talk to them. They're here for support. I just want to emphasize that, if something's is an issue, just escalate it. But there should be no room for disrespect ever, because nobody's disrespecting you. All right. So that's want to recap, and we're good. We'll let you guys know. Again, appreciate everybody. Appreciate the hard work you guys done. We put out a link. It's already expired. We put it out for driver trucker appreciation week. It was a link we put out. Amazon, you can get like 3 duffel bag. They had a bunch of like merch and paraphernalia and stuff you could get for free as a thank you for moving freight. And it was a link I put out for 2 weeks. It expired. It's done. So just be on the lookout. Normally last 3 months of the year, we have a lot of giveaways, a lot of bonuses and things like that. So again, any questions, please reach out to Dave, reach out to Leon, reach out to Javier, and we're good. But That's all. But again, thank you for your time. I know it's been an hour and 18 minutes. We're good. Please look at the recording if you missed it.
All right, cool. All right, everyone have a great night. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Thanks. Good night.
All right.
Have a good night.